To the channel. Today I've brought assertion and reason questions from the book Footprints Without Feet, term 1 that includes 3 chapters. Now let's get started with how to solve these. First of all, prerequisites of solving assertion and reason questions. Two important things you have to keep in mind. You have to be thorough with your chapters and poems, and you should understand the theme, message, tone, or central idea, etc. of all the chapters and the poems. If you are able to do that, if you are thorough with everything, these questions are going to be a cakewalk for you. Now let's get started. So I'll be showing you 8 questions from these 3 chapters. You solve them, be ready with your answers, and after that I will be discussing the answers. So first one, assertion. Mrs. Pumphrey told Dr. Harriet that Tricky had not been playing disc throwing lately. Reason, her gardener Hodgkin had been down with lumbago for quite some time. So read these options and be ready with the answer. Second one, assertion. On the third day, an extra bowl was kept for Tricky. Reason, Tricky showed signs of improvement and had been licking the feeding bowls of other dogs the previous day. You can pause at the slide and then pick your answer. Third one, assertion. Hari Singh found himself standing alone on the deserted platform. Reason, by the time he reached the station, the train had already left the station. Fourth one, assertion. Hari Singh decided to go back to Anil. Reason, he wanted to learn to read and write and lead a respectable life. Fifth, assertion. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. Reason, she went to the stranger and asked what he had been doing with a chair. Sixth, assertion. Jaffers was able to catch the stranger. Reason, it was Jaffers' duty to obey the magistrate's order and arrest the person, whether the person was with or without his head. Seventh, now this is the other type of assertion and reason questions. First statement, Griffin was a brilliant scientist. Second statement, Griffin was a lawless person. So now based on these choices, these options, you have to pick your answer. You have to find the relation between these two statements. Eighth and the last one. First statement says Griffin carelessly attacked the shopkeeper and robbed him of all the money. Second one, finding a suitable shop, the invisible Griffin climbed upstairs and came out dressed, making him visible. So again, based on these options, find the relation between these two statements. So these are the 8 practice questions. I hope that you've written your answers. Now it's time to show the answers. I'll be discussing the answers one by one. So the first one. Now let's discuss the answer here. Now first thing is, what is an assertion? So assertion, it is a fact, it is a statement based on the chapter. So if you have understanding of the chapter, then first thing that you have to do is you have to find out whether this assertion is true or false according to the chapter. Now let's do that. So Mrs. Pumphrey told Dr. Harriet that Tricky had not been playing disc throwing lately. Now there is something like this in the chapter, but it says rather than disc throwing, it says ring throwing. So that means this first statement, it is false. Now we come to the second one. The reason is her gardener Hodgkin had been down with lumbago for quite some time. Now this statement is true. Now after you've decided this, then move on and look at the options. A is false, but R is true. Now A is false and R is true. So we have our answer. But it's always important to read all the options. Both A and R are true. Okay, we move on to the next one because here only we've got our answer. It's not the answer. So both A and R are true. Now again, this cannot be the answer. Then A is true. Again, our A statement, that is for assertion, it is not true. That means we have our answer as this one. So very easy. If we are thorough with the chapter, we'll be able to do that. Now next one. Now these questions can also be extract based. So wherever these lines come in the chapter, that passage can be given as an extract, and based on that you have to do assertion and reason questions. Now assertion here says on the third day an extra bowl was kept for Tricky. So this is a true statement. Now reason, Tricky showed signs of improvement and had been licking the feeding bowls of other dogs the previous day. Now we can see that this statement is also true. Now, what we have to find out is that whether this reason, it is a proper reason for the assertion that is given. Now, to find out that, you just need to attach because here. So on the third day, an extra bowl was kept for Tricky because Tricky showed signs of improvement and had been licking the feeding bowls of other dogs the previous day. And yes, we know that this is true. So that means we are going to find our option according to this only. So A, it says it is false, but it is true. Move on to the next one. Both A and R are true. Yes, they are true. But R is not the correct explanation of A. But we have found that R is the correct explanation. So let's move on to C. Both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. So here we have our answer. Let's read D also. A is true but R is false. So that is not our answer. So bingo, we have our answer. Now we move on to the next one. Third, it says, Hari Singh found himself standing alone on the deserted platform. Yes, we know that this is true according to the chapter. Reason, by the time he reached the station, the train had already left the station. Now you have to think whether this happened actually this way. So actually, when Hari Singh reached the station, the train was there on the platform. It was moving slowly. So it had not actually gone. So it was there. That means this is wrong. Hari Singh, he says that he could have jumped and taken the train. It was the speed of the train, it was very slow at that time when he reached. So now let's find the answer. A is false, but we know that it is true. So move on to the next. Both A and R are true. No, this is also not the answer. Next one. Both A and R are true. Again, this is not the answer. So we have A is true, but R is false. So our answer is D. Easy, isn't it? Now let's move on to the next one. Assertion. Hari Singh decided to go back to Anil. Yes, we know he decided that. Reason. He wanted to learn to read and write and lead a respectable life. We also know that, yes, he wanted to learn to read and write. Now let's see if R is the reason for A. So Hari Singh decided to go back to Anil because he wanted to learn to read and write and lead a respectable life. Yes, it makes sense, and this is how it is given in the chapter. So now let's find the answer. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A, and we have our answer. Moving on to the next. Fifth one, assertion. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. Yes, she fell down, we know this. Reason. She went to the stranger and asked what he had been doing with her chair. Now, this is also true. She went to the stranger and she asked that what he had been doing with her chair. Now, let's see if R is the reason for assertion. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics because she went to the stranger and asked what he had been doing with her chair. It doesn't make sense. This is not how it happened in the chapter. So it was this when the stranger in the room, the chair actually, that was obviously stranger was holding that chair. It pushed both husband and wife out of the door. It was at that time Mrs. Hall fell down. So R is not the explanation of A. Although both the statements they are true, but R is not the explanation of A. So we have to find that option. So both A and R they are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So our answer is B. So I hope now you understand how we have to solve it. Now, sixth one. Jeffers was able to catch the stranger. We know that he was not able to catch the invisible man. So, reason. It was Jaffar's duty to obey the magistrate's order and arrest the person whether the person was with or without his head. Yes, this is given in the chapter. This is a true statement. Now, let's find the relation. So, A is false. Yes, we know here that A is false, but R is true. Yes, so A, this is our answer. Now we move on to seventh one. Now this is a different type. So Griffin was a brilliant scientist. Second statement says Griffin was a lawless person. Let's first find out whether these statements are true or not. Now Griffin was a brilliant scientist. It is true. Griffin was a lawless person. Now this is also true. Now let's check their relation. One can be inferred from two. Now inferred, what is the meaning of inferred? Inferred means when you can conclude or you can deduce something from the other thing. So it says one can be inferred from two. Now, one is Griffin was a brilliant scientist, and two is Griffin was a lawless person. Now, Griffin was a lawless person. That doesn't make Griffin a brilliant scientist. So, one cannot be concluded from two. So, this is wrong. Then, both one and two are independent. Now, Griffin was a brilliant scientist, this is one thing. Griffin was a lawless person is another thing. They are not related. So both are independent. So we think that this is our answer, but we have to read all the options. C says 2 precedes 1. So 2 precedes 1. That means 2 comes first and then comes 1. So Griffin was a lawless person, and after that, Griffin was a brilliant scientist. This is not possible because there is no relation between being lawless and being a brilliant scientist. Then 2 is the effect of 1. Now again, this is not cause and effect statement. That means B is our answer. So like this, you have to decide your answer. Now we move on to the next one. Griffin carelessly attacked the shopkeeper and robbed him of all the money. Yes, we know this happened. Then, finding a suitable shop, the invisible Griffin climbed upstairs and came out dressed, making him visible. So, this also happened. Now, let's find out the relation between the two. One contradicts two. No, they are not contradictory. Then, one is not dependent on two. Now, Griffin carelessly attacked the shopkeeper and finding a suitable shop, so they are related in some way. So that means the statement that they are not dependent, it is not true. Then 2 precedes 1. So this we have to check. Now, true says finding a suitable shop. The invisible Griffin climbed upstairs and he came out dressed, making him visible. And we know what happened after this. Because he was visible, so to avoid the shopkeeper seeing him, he attacked the shopkeeper and robbed him of all the money. So 2 precedes 1 seems to be the correct answer. But let's read D also. 2 is the effect of 1. So is 2 the effect of 1? No, it is not, because first 2 happened and then 1. So our answer is 2 precedes 1. So these are all the 8 different types of questions based on assertion and reason story. I hope that now you will be able to solve all the questions and all confusion is clear. In case you have any answer, do write to me. I will answer all your queries. Now what you have to do, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and if you have any queries, do write and send me your email ID if you want the mock paper. But for that, you need to subscribe first. Bye for now and happy preparation.